Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm doing fine. I thought I'd show you how I made this pendant. It's kind of sort of like a tree of life, I guess. Similar construction, I would say, to a tree of life, but it's, I don't know, it's a little different, I guess, because I've got a crystal that points up in the pendant, and I made these kind of curlicues with the ends of the wire that makes the frame up, just to finish it up. And there's the loop back there for a chain. Anyway, let's head on over to the video right now. Alright guys, so basic tool time. Flat nose nylon jaw pliers, which are optional if you need them. I did not need them, but in case you do. Chain nose pliers. I did need those. Flush cutters. And those are good to have. And some round nose pliers. Or bail making pliers if you really want to. That's mainly what they're for. I'm using 20 gauge bare copper, dead soft, of course, and some 26 gauge bare copper, dead soft. And I've got a bead here that's a crystal point. It's Aventurine. I haven't done any Aventurine crystal wrapping in a while, so I thought I would do one again. Excuse me. And I've just sped myself up so you don't have to watch it in real time, the cutting. I'm cutting 3 about, I don't know, 9-inch lengths of 20 gauge copper. And we're going to slip all 3 of them through the hole of my bead. Depending on how large the hole is for your bead, you'll have to make adjustments. For me, I was able to fit all 3 through quite comfortably, but that bead has a pretty big hole. So if you are dealing with a gemstone that's got a small bead, which a lot of them do, just, do your best to fill the hole up and, wrap any extra length that you have around the crystal, just around it, and you'll do fine. So here I am. I'm just kind of evaluating how big of a frame I want to make. And when I've kind of got a teardrop-ish shape, I decide to wrap the wires around themselves at the top. And I'm going to make my loop for my bail, which I won't really worry about until the very end. But you need to make the general shape of it now so that you have something to work with. All right. And that's basically all you got to do right now with the 20 gauge stuff. Wire. That's what it's called. Wire. Okay, so I've sped myself along. I am wrapping lengths of 26 gauge around the frame, just kind of, twist tying it around. I think I cut 7 or 8 lengths of it that turn out to be way too long, and they were about 12 inches each. You don't need that much, I found out, but that's okay. It can always be reused in another project. So I'm just twist tying it around like you do when you're making a tree of life. Just, alternating sides of the stone. There you go. A lot of this video is going to be sped up because I don't want to subject you to the real time, making of it. Here I am. I'm stringing as I go beads on here, and I cannot remember for the life of me what kind of stone it is. It's got a funky name because it's a combination of lapis lazuli and malachite, believe it or not. The two stones meld together sometimes in the earth, and they make a really pretty blue and green stone. But that's kind of irrelevant. I mean, you're going to use what you're going to use. Anything you have will be great. So, yeah, I sped this all along quite a bit just because if you need a more detailed look at how to do trees of life, I have a playlist. So go ahead and take a look at that if you are curious. The only difference with this one is the crystal point that's kind of going upwards. That's kind of like the trunk almost. So yeah, once you're happy with the amount of beads you've got on, you can fill your frame up like I did. I filled it up quite a bit. You don't have to, obviously. You can do whatever you want, which is why I've kind of sped this along, because I figure, it's up to you what you want to do. I'm trimming my short wire off, because obviously you don't need it. And right now I am taking the entire clump of wires on either side there like that. Just kind of noodling around, pushing, pulling, the stuff you got to do. And I'm going to start coiling the 20 gauge lengths that are at the top that are going to make kind of a nicer frame. So I've used my pliers to start a loop, and I cut off the straight edge of that loop because there's always a straight bit at the beginning. And I'm just going to use my other pliers there, my flat pliers, to coil the loop around and around and around so we get a coil, a spiral. And I'm going to do that with all 6 ends of the frame, which will then be lashed through the holes in each spiral. I'll take a length of the 26 gauge that I will be cutting off shortly, and I use that to string through the holes of the spirals to attach it to the frame so that they won't want to move on us. But that's only after I make these spirals here and wrap them around the loop for the bail, I should say. It's not very clear. Here I am cutting that straight edge off. It's just a minuscule amount of wire. You cut off just the teeniest, tiniest bit of it so that you can have a truly round hole, or round spiral. It affects the shape of your spiral if you don't. Okay, so I've got them kind of just sticking out sideways right now, and that's okay, because I'm going to work with them a little bit towards the end. You'll see what I was talking about. So right now I am taking the lengths of weaving wire and just wrapping around the frame just once. And then I'm going to trim them because they're still quite long, as you can tell. I still had like, I don't know, a good 5 inches on them. They're pretty long. I just cut them long because I wasn't sure how big I wanted this pendant to be. If I was to use one of my great big crystals, I would probably, have used all of the length because it would need more space. So I'm using my round nose pliers right there to kind of make like a root of, a funky root system for our tree. And flush cutting them off. There we go. And I'm going to use my other pliers to crimp the sharp edges inward so that it's inside the frame and not on the outside where it'll catch your skin and hurt you. And I'm going to do the very, very, very same thing to the other side. So I'm not really going to worry about showing you that. And do take your time when crimping things down, because those little wires, fine wires, are so sneaky. Okay. Now I'm taking the spiraled ends and I'm wrapping around the sort of the neck of the bail loop so that they're nice and secure. And then what we're going to do here is even out this loop with my pliers there. And then I'm going to start kind of arranging the spirals in a way that is pleasing to me. And I just happen to like them kind of lining up around the edge of the top of the frame. So that's what I'm doing right now, is just tweaking those to the way I want them to be. So I take one that's kind of the larger of all of them, and I use that one to cover the bail entirely so it's invisible from the front, which I think is always kind of a slick thing to do if you've got the opportunity to take that measure. There we go. So we're coming to the point now where I'm happy with the placement of the spirals, and then we'll just be taking one of those lengths of wire that's on my mat right there. There we go. There's the way I want them to look. So I'm going to take a wire and wrap it around the frame, and then one end through the hole in the spiral, in the center of the spiral. There you go. And then I'm going to wrap around the loop and then come up through the next hole and around the inside. You're basically just lashing it down, pretending the wire is like a string almost, like a thread. And just threading it around and through the holes of your spiral. And because the gauge is really fine, you don't notice it all that much. You could use a bead if you prefer. There we go. And I'm going to wrap it around so that it's secure, and then I will trim it off, and I will take another length of scrap wire and do the very same to the 3 spirals on the other side of the bail. Man, my face was really in it. You can see my hair. Sometimes I have to get really close to what I'm doing, or I'm hopeless. There we go. There we go. So basically at this point you are doing any final adjusting that you want to be making. It's, personal preference entirely. I think that's why I love wire wrapping and showing how I made something, because no matter how I made it, and I can show you step for step like this, yours is going to come out different, which I think is rad. I think that's just the coolest thing ever. So here I am going super fast because I'm doing the other side and I'm doing the exact same thing. It's always funny to watch myself going so fast. I wish I could be this fast in real life. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'm really thankful for all of you guys out there. I think of you all the time. I'm always thinking of ideas for you. So do me a solid, and if you would, change that subscribe button to gray for me, and then hit that bell icon so you get notifications. Bye everyone. Talk to you soon.